Welcome. Crimson Peak was released in 2015 and was directed by Guillermo del Toro. It stars Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain and is about an American woman who meets an Englishman and they end up falling in love and getting married, and she goes home with them back to England where some strange things start to happen. So, I don't know why, but I've always wanted to see this movie. I think I remember the trailers of it when it was coming out, and it kind of spooked me a little bit, so there was a part of me that always wanted to watch it. So when I got my Cinemax subscription because of having to watch The Hills Have Eyes, which I need to remember to cancel that because I'm still on the 7-day free trial, but I saw this was a part of the Cinemax subscription deal, so I was like, you know what? Let's do a review of it since I've always wanted to see it. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good film. It definitely gripped me the entire time and was very beautiful. But there is a few flaws that I found with the movie, which we will talk about. So I do want to start with one of the flaws just early on, which is I think it's kind of boring, the beginning. And it's really weird because I feel like for the first act, the first part of it is boring, and then the ending of the first act is pretty interesting. Then with the second act, I feel like most of the second act is boring, and then the end of the second half is good. Second act, sorry. And then with the third act, I thought all of it was great. But it was really weird how it felt like that first act in the beginning kind of dragged and just kind of took its time when it really didn't need to. There wasn't much build-up that needed to be made, and it just felt like it got kind of boring after a little bit, but then something big would happen right at the end of it, which was really cool and really interesting. But it's just the first like 3/4 of the first act and the first 3/4 of the second act are very boring, and that's really the only big issue that I saw with the film. Another one that could be had is that our main character in the movie, Edith, her character really doesn't have that much of an arc. It feels like they're setting up one within that first act, but then after that, they kind of throw away her being a writer, and she just kind of wanders this mansion, and I'm okay with it for like the first like 2 times, 3 times that it happens, but they start doing it a few more times, and by then it got kind of boring, and our character or our hero really didn't learn anything until that last time where they just kind of throw all of the information that she needs at once. So I think those issues of the first act, second act beginnings are kind of boring, and our main character Edith being kind of dull, I think would be the word, because they really don't do much with her character. But I think those would really be the only 2 flaws I saw with this film. I just wanted to get rid of those few cons so I can start talking about the pros, with the first pro that I have being the visuals. It is so gorgeous, and I feel like it rivals the cinematography of Suspiria, the 1977 one, although I do like the Suspiria cinematography a little bit more. But in this film, it is absolutely gorgeous. The red clay that you see, the ghosts, I mean, everything is just so stunning, and I couldn't take my eyes off the screen no matter what. I mean, I would get like a few texts and I just couldn't even look at it. I would just see the phone light flash up, but I couldn't even pull my eyes from the screen because everything that I was watching was just so gorgeous. The second pro I have with this movie is Tom Hiddleston. I mean, he's amazing. I mean, Loki, just what a man. And in this film, he does such a great job as his character. He plays this character named Thomas. He's from England, he's British, and he's very interesting. He has a really nice arc that he goes through, and I feel like he's really the most compelling character of this entire movie, which isn't hard to see why, because he is a beautiful man and he does a lot in this movie. Although I could have gone without seeing his butt cheeks in one scene. And the last pro that I have with this movie is the third act. It is so gripping and so tense, and I couldn't take my eyes from the screen, kind of like the rest of the movie, but really in this third act, I was just absolutely mesmerized by what was happening on the screen, and it's a gripping ride from that start of the third act all the way to the finish, which I don't think anyone would regret watching. So I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10, and I do recommend it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's not as scary as you think it's going to be. It feels more like a gothic rather than a horror movie. Which, if you don't know what I mean by that, do your own research. I don't want to tell you everything. So thank you everyone for watching, and leave a comment if there are any other horror movies you would like me to watch. But let's flash forward to the next review.